Okay, so my name's Joe Vaught, and here is my short introduction of myself. So this is me and my buddy Chewbacca. This was taken at Disneyland last year when my son and I went for a short visit because we're lucky living in the Central Valley of California that we're only a few hours away. And here's my family. This is my daughter Violet, who's actually now 16 and is currently working on getting her driver's license. And this is Jack. He is 8 years old now, and he is a wonderful little boy. A few years ago, he was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum. So that in itself has made me a better teacher and actually a better person in general because I've just learned a lot more strategies and understanding of learners or kids who deal with disabilities like this. And then this is my wife, Carrie, who is a kindergarten teacher in Visalia, California. And she's one of those teachers that students run up to her years later saying, "Oh, Mrs. Vaught, we love you. We still remember you." So she's that teacher that every kid kind of deserves. And here's a picture of Pig the Pug, our little dog, and he is the newest addition to our little family, and he's a great little addition. And in my free time, if I have any free time, I like to go backpacking, hiking, running, those kind of things. Pretty much anything outdoors I enjoy to doing, as well as taking those days when I just veg out and I watch Netflix for the entire day. But those days are exceedingly rare. So my teaching journey, I graduated with a BA in English from St. Mary's College, and I also graduated with a minor in child psychology. A few years after college, I decided that I really wanted to travel and see the world. So I took a teaching job in Japan where I taught for the next 2.5 years. I taught English to Japanese children and Japanese adults, which was the actual experience that made me want to be a teacher. When I returned home, I took a job at a little tiny school with about 75 students, K-12. Named in a city named Allensworth, actually a town named Allensworth. And there I taught every grade level from kindergarten to 8th grade. And my last year I even served as principal while teaching kindergarten. Following that, I became a language arts teacher for 8th graders at Wilson Middle School in Exeter. While teaching language arts, I was also the ELD specialist for our site, the student council advisor, and was the water polo and swimming coach for our the local high school as well. Following my experience in Exeter, I moved over to Lindsay when Lindsay received the Race to the Top grant, and several new positions were created, and one of those positions was a curriculum instruction specialist. I did that for 2 years, and then I transitioned into a blended learning specialist position, which is my role in this position, still my current position, is to help our learning facilitators infuse and integrate technology to enhance and accelerate learning for each one of our Lindsay children. So why this class? Why teaching and learning with technology? One, it's in direct alignment with the current role I'm in. As a blended learning specialist, technology is a critical component of that. But also, I really believe that technology is a powerful tool, and in the hands of a great teacher, it can actually really transform learning for the kids that are working with that teacher. However, on the other hand, when it's used inappropriately and you walk into a learning environment, all the kids are on the computer at the same time, essentially a digitized worksheet, those kind of things, it actually technology becomes a detriment to learning. So I really want to work with teachers and students to really see the value in this tool and how it can actually open the world up to our learners, not only in the learning process, but also how they can demonstrate their understanding in different ways. So my own experience with ed tech and learning. So for the last 3 years now, I've been really focused on that in the blended learning specialist position. In particular, looking at using technology in a flipped learning and the station rotation models. Prior to coming to Lindsay, at Exeter is where I started really getting my feet wet with using technology for learning. By the time I left, we were in my language arts class. We were doing a lot of discussion boards, blogs. Kids, I was giving the kids options of building websites as an option for their research reports. But the most powerful thing actually came from the use of the flipped learning model, where so, for example, if the goal of the lesson was for my learners to actually look at how an author in a novel that we're reading is using a certain type of figurative language, say metaphor, to advance the theme. The night before on the video, they would actually watch the video on what a metaphor is, how it, examples of metaphors, how to get the literal and the figurative meaning of those, how to identify them, those kind of basic understanding pieces. And then when they came into the learning environment, we would review that. And then they would spend the rest of the time really having what was more like a book club, where they would be delving into the novel, looking at those metaphors, looking at how it advances a plot, advances the theme of the story, and those kind of things. So they're really doing a lot more high level thinking in those discussions. So that, and even my learners would actually come to me and tell me that they actually liked that format so much better than me having to lecture about what a metaphor was, have a little bit of time in class for discussion, and then they have to go and work alone on like kind of the analysis piece at home. So they like being able to flip that around. But that's about it. Sorry if I rambled on a little bit. I'm looking forward to working with you all this for the next several weeks, and have a great one.